Disovered, how a simple cleaner gave millionaire twins an unexpected, life-changing night. Mia and Ryan Caldwell stood at the top of their grand staircase, surveying the extravagant charity gala unfolding in their sprawling mansion just outside Chicago. Crystal chandeliers sparkled like stars, and laughter echoed against the marble walls. On the surface, they were the picture-perfect millionaires the twins everyone envied. But beneath the polished surface, a storm raged inside them, fueled by relentless expectations from their father and an aching desire to break free. As they mingled with a sea of glittering socialites, hollow smiles masked their unease. "Another one to impress," Ryan muttered, his jaw tight. Mia rolled her eyes, the tension between them thick enough to cut. They were so busy pretending to be perfect, they almost missed the sound of shattering glass. A sudden commotion snapped them back, revealing the aftermath of a spilled platter cascading across the floor. Champagne flowed like a river, pooling next to broken crystal, reflecting their disarray. As the crowd gasped, a figure pushed through Clara, a humble house cleaner. Her eyes sparkled with determination as she swiftly began to gather the remnants of chaos. "Don't worry, I've got this," she reassured, her hands moving deftly, skin stained with remnants of her long day. It was her spirit that struck a chord with Mia and Ryan, who had buried their own struggles beneath layers of opulence. Clara's laughter was infectious, and when she shared stories of working 3 jobs to provide for her son, the twins absorbed every word, feeling their own world shift. "I don't know how you do it," Mia said, her voice softer than she intended. Clara beamed back. "I do it for him. Love gets you through, you know." The honesty of her response washed over them like a refreshing rain. For the first time in ages, they felt a flicker of connection, a sense of understanding they had longed for. The glamorous facade began to chip away, revealing their insecurities hidden just beneath the surface, but just as hope bloomed, a storm brewed. Whispers of scandal began to spread through the crowd, and Clara's name was caught within them. The socialites who once admired the twins now turned their gaze, and Mia and Ryan felt the weight of judgment. Clara had been seen leaving a risky part of town the night before. Her transparent struggle was in jeopardy of being unfairly scrutinized. Would they choose popularity over integrity, continuing to hide in their golden cage? "Why should we care what they think?" Ryan raged, his frustration spilling over. "She's a fighter." But Mia's heart raced. Clara demanded they face their own biases, and she deserved their loyalty. The gravity of the moment hung thick in the air as Clara locked eyes with them, the challenge palpable on her lips. Just then, Mia remembered what their mother had once said, "Standing up for what's right is the mark of true courage." The moment loomed like a cliff's edge. Would they dive forward and risk everything to support Clara, or retreat into their gilded lives? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as they committed to the moment, the power in the mansion flickered. A collective gasp echoed. A table collapsed, spilling wine and falling crystal. The air thickened, all eyes shifted, and chaos swallowed the event whole. Suddenly, Mia and Ryan faced not only their own choices but the potential unraveling of their world. Would they rise above or let the night slip through their fingers? With hearts racing and uncertainty lurking around every corner, they stood poised on the brink of transformation, the outcome hanging in the balance. Mia and Ryan shared a quick glance, the unspoken question hanging heavy between them. What would they do? The wealthy elite around them erupted into whispers as the chaos unfolded, their eyes pinning Clara in judgment. It felt like every breath they took brought them closer to the decision that would change everything. "I can't let them tear her down," Mia said decisively, her voice barely above a whisper. The heat of her determination surged in contrast to the coolness of the mansion's marble floors. Ryan nodded, swallowing hard. But if we step forward, what happens to us? Fear flickered in his eyes, a mirror to Mia's own doubt. They had lived sheltered lives, often led by the whims of their father's expectations and social pressures. Yet, standing there, watching Clara brush off the shattered pieces of a broken life, they felt the ground shifting beneath them. The sound of escalating chatter surrounded them like an impending storm. Mia stepped closer to the edge of the stair railing, her heart racing. Maybe we can change the narrative. This is our chance to show we're not like them. Before she could finish, another guest, Max, one of their father's closest associates, moved to the forefront. What a disgrace. A house cleaner making a scene at our gala, he sneered, laughter threading through his tone like poison. The crowd buzzed, some taking pleasure in the drama, while others shifted uncomfortably. Mia clenched her fists. We can't let him get away with this, she urged Ryan, fear and determination bubbling within her. Let us stand up for Clara. Together. Both twins felt the weight of their choice hanging over them. They could feel their palms slick with anxiety, their hearts drumming loudly in their chests. The laughter and whispers around them morphed into a discordant chorus of expectations, and for the first time, they had the opportunity to defy that chorus. Taking a deep breath, Mia nodded. Together, she echoed, the words strengthening their resolve. She stepped down from the staircase, pulling Ryan along with her into the swirling sea of judgment. They navigated through the crowd, determination fueling every step they took. Clara glanced up as they approached, surprise etching her face. You don't have to, she began. We want to, Ryan interrupted, the sincerity in his tone breaking through the tension of the evening. You don't deserve this. We stand with you. The crowd seemed to collectively take a breath, their murmurs fading into silence at the unexpected solidarity. Just then, a piercing voice broke through the air. What kind of message does this send? Max boomed, his disdain palpable. They're siding with her? In that moment, an unexpected silence blanketed the room. It was as if Clara had become the eye of a storm, and everyone's eyes zeroed in on her. Mia could feel her heart racing. They had made their choice, but would it be enough? Would the power of family and love be enough to drown out years of privilege and expectation? Ryan leaned in closer to Mia. What if we lose everything? He asked, his voice barely audible. Mia's resolve hardened. But what if we gain each other? And Clara? What would that mean? The tension pulsed between them, vibrant and dangerous, a stark reminder that they were not just twins but a team. As the crowd leaned closer, hanging on the twins' every word, the air thickened with uncertainty. The moment hung like a pendulum, teetering on the balance. What was about to unfold could shift the course of their lives forever, but just then, the doors of the mansion swung open, revealing a figure cloaked in darkness. What is going on here? The figure demanded, eyes gleaming with authority. Caught in the crosshairs of upheaval, Mia and Ryan exchanged glances, myriad questions swirling in the air. Who was this new player? And how would their interference change everything they had just begun to stand up for? The figure stepped into the dimly lit room, a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding them. His black suit seemed to absorb the light, casting an aura of undeniable authority. The murmurs of the crowd turned to whispers of uncertainty. Mia's heart thudded loudly in her chest, a fierce drumbeat accompanying the gravity of the moment. Who are you? Ryan managed to blurt out, though his tone was more bewildered than defiant. Mia sensed that the newcomer was not just anyone, there was power in his presence, and she could feel the crowd shift in his direction, drawn by intrigue. I'm Mr. Harrington, he said, his voice steady and commanding. And I would like to know what's happening here. This gala is meant for celebration, not mockery. His dark eyes landed on Clara, who stood frail yet resilient under the weight of the judgmental gazes. In an instant, all eyes shifted back to Clara. The judgment that had borne down on her now transformed into a beat of curiosity. Would this Mr. Harrington be yet another thorn in her side, or was he here to help? Mr. Harrington, Mia interjected, stepping forward, you don't understand. Clara has been humiliated tonight by people who think they're above her because of her job. We can't just stand by and let that happen. Ryan's heart swelled in support of Mia's bold stance. He felt the fire of courage igniting within him as he took a step beside her. Yeah. He added, feeling bolder with each word. This isn't about mockery, it's about doing the right thing for someone who deserves respect. A flicker of surprise crossed Mr. Harrington's face, quickly replaced by an inscrutable expression. This is quite remarkable, he said, with a hint of curiosity lacing his tone, that two children of privilege are willing to confront the status quo. But do you have any idea the stakes? This is a realm of reputation, and those who defend the underprivileged often pay the price. Mia felt a pang of hesitation. She hadn't considered the consequences in any deep way. All she saw was the hurt in Clara's eyes, the injustice in the air. Maybe, she said slowly, but isn't it worth it? If standing up for Clara means risking our standing, then so be it. Better to be respected for who we are than feared for what we own. The crowd shifted again, faces a mix of disbelief and admiration. Mr. Harrington studied them, his expression softening as he regarded the twins' two young souls under the crushing weight of expectation, choosing compassion over conformity. You are brave, he said at last, but I caution you caution. Mia shot back, her determination igniting anew. This isn't about caution. This is about standing for what's right. We're tired of pretending everything's okay. Just then, Clara took a step forward, her face flushed with emotion. I appreciate your support, truly I do, she said, voice quivering yet strong, but I don't want you two to suffer for me. I'm used to being the one in the shadows, and I don't need anyone else to take that risk. Clara, Ryan urged softly, stepping toward her. We stand together, remember? Nobody should be left standing alone, especially you. The sincerity in his gaze held her. As Clara's eyes sparkled with unshed tears, a murmured agreement rippled through the crowd, slowly turning the tide. It wasn't just Mia and Ryan anymore. More people were beginning to question their own complacency. Their support, once a fragile thing, began to solidify into something stronger, but just then, Max's laughter rang loud again, cutting through the moment. Look at this. He sneered, a tragic scene played out for claps. Do you honestly think this will change anything? The air turned electric and charged, tension building as the crowd became a battleground between the status quo and the unexpected rise of solidarity. Would the twins' decision to stand up prove transformative, or would it deepen the rift that separated them from everything they'd known? As Mia turned back to face the growing crowd, the monumental weight of the night pressed down on her. She knew they had crossed a line not just for Clara, but for themselves too. Would they be able to weather the storm about to break over their heads? With an electrifying uncertainty swirling around them, Mia took a deep breath and wondered, would they still stand firm as the winds of change beckoned? The room held its breath, a moment suspended in time. Mia glanced at Ryan, who was standing resolutely beside her. She could nearly feel the collective energy of the crowd, their silent anticipation tinged with doubt and hope. It was as if the weight of all those unspoken fears was about to burst. Max's laughter, sharp and contemptuous, echoed again. What a fairy tale! He bellowed. Do you think this makes you heroes? You're simply part of the joke. In that instant, Clara's voice rose above the chatter, crystal clear yet trembling with emotion. You think standing together is a joke? I know what it's like to be dismissed, to feel invisible. It's not funny. It's painful. Her vulnerability cut through the tension like a knife. A murmur of agreement spread amongst the audience. People began to nod, some even whispering to one another, considering Clara's words. In that moment, Mia realized they weren't just fighting for Clara anymore, they were standing up for every person who had ever been belittled or overlooked. Mr. Harrington's expression shifted, as if he was seeing the bigger picture unfold before him. "You're right," he said, his voice low but fierce. "What you're doing here tonight matters. But bravery comes with its own price." Mia could feel Ryan's presence, a steadying force as they faced the music. "We're willing to pay it," he said, his voice thunderous with conviction. "Clara deserves better. And if it costs us everything, then it's worth it." His words sparked a surge of bravery from others. One after another, voices rose in support. "We're with you," shouted someone from the back. "Let us stand together." Another chimed in. The tide was turning. Ryan squeezed Mia's hand, and she felt strength coursing through their connection. She offered a smile to Clara, who looked stunned but hopeful. "See?" Mia whispered. "You're not alone." Just then, a tall figure pushed through the crowd, arms raised as if to silence the chaos. It was Lucy, the gala's host, her face twisted with irritation. "Enough!" she bellowed, her voice slicing through the murmur. "This gathering shouldn't devolve into a circus. We are here to celebrate success, not wallow in pity." For a brief moment, the room fell silent. Lucy's words hung in the air, a heavy reminder of the norms they all felt obliged to uphold. But Clara wouldn't be silenced any longer. "Success isn't just about wealth, Lucy. It's about dignity too." The tension crackled anew, the crowd caught in a fierce tug-of-war. Lucy's expression shifted, a flush creeping into her cheeks as a ripple of discontent spread. It seemed that Clara's courage had ignited something within others. They mustered the courage to challenge Lucy's perspective, to reshape what success truly meant. Mia's heart raced as she watched it unfold. The air was thick with a newfound determination, a collective craving for honesty and respect. But as the voices clashed and mingled, she couldn't shake the feeling of uncertainty. What would Lucy do next? Would she crush this moment, or would she allow it to bloom? As Lucy's eyes burned with indignation, Mia realized they were teetering on the edge of something monumental. "Is this what we want?" Lucy challenged, her voice rising. "To tear down what we've built? Or do we keep our status and celebrate our achievements?" Mia felt the heat of her own emotions swelling, the stakes rising higher than ever. Would they truly challenge the very foundations of what had defined their lives? And would they be ready for the consequences? As the atmosphere pulsed with anticipation, Mia took a step forward, catching everyone's gaze. "It's time for change," she said, her voice strong. "And we can't be afraid to fight for it." With conviction echoing in her heart, she knew they had all crossed a line they could never uncross. But as Mia searched the crowd for approval, she wondered, would they stand firm, or had they just lit a fuse to a fire no one could control? Mia's words hung in the air, igniting a flicker of hope among the crowd. She could see Clara's eyes shining with tears, the weight of her struggles momentarily lifted by the support surrounding her. It was a bold moment, yet Mia felt the tremors of uncertainty deep within herself. What if they lost everything for this cause? In the crowd, faces shifted. Familiar acquaintances, colleagues, even friends, began to break the surface of apprehension. They glanced at one another, weighing the implications of standing together. Mia noticed a woman she'd shared frantic boardroom meetings with, her lips trembling as if to let out an unspoken truth. "Change begins with all of us," the woman finally said, her voice shaking but rising. "For too long we've remained silent, scared to lose what we have." Several heads nodded, the gravity of her words sinking in like a stone cast into still water. Ryan stepped beside Mia, his presence anchoring her swirling emotions. "We need to be brave enough to redefine success. It's not about the money or the title. It's about lifting each other up." Lucy, visibly flustered, looked around as the energy in the room swirled against her. "You seem to think you can reshape everything overnight. This isn't a fairy tale. What will you do when it all falls apart? Maybe falling apart is what we need." Clara's voice broke through the noise, raw and real. It's about time we face how fragile life actually is. We can rebuild together, but we can't do it in the shadows. Murmurs swelled, more voices added to the cacophony. Yes. Exactly. Enough is enough. They were words of awakening, words that cried for change. The air around them crackled with energy, hot and full of defiance. Lucy's shocked expression spoke volumes. She was losing control, and she knew it. Frustration flared in her hazel eyes, and for the first time, she looked vulnerable, not the polished figure she had always been. This is madness. She shouted, struggling to regain authority. You think your little protest will change what we've built? It's not madness if it leads to something better. One man yelled, his hands balled into fists, tension mounted. The room pulsated, alive with a fierce camaraderie. Mia felt the energy surging. It was no longer about Clara. It was about every single person in the crowd and their shared burden for too long. This was the moment they had waited for, the reckoning they didn't know they needed. Mia inhaled deeply. No more pretending, she insisted, her voice steady. We're done trying to fit into a world that dismisses us. We have value not because of our possessions but because we are human. She turned to Clara, a spark of inspiration flickering within her. This isn't just about standing up for you. It's for everyone who believes they are less than they are. As the crowd erupted in supportive cheers, Lucy's facade cracked. She shook her head, her frustration sending sparks flying. You will regret this. One day you'll see what I mean. But Mia didn't falter. She felt the wind of change brushing against her face, palpable and electrifying. They were at a crossroads, and there was no turning back. Suddenly, a thundering clap echoed through the room as Clara stepped forward, her expression shifting from uncertainty to defiance. Then let us be the regretful ones together. We choose who we want to be. The echo of her words hung in the air, resonating deeply with the crowd, igniting flames of passion. They were hungry for change, and united, they were a force to be reckoned with. But as Mia, Clara, and Ryan reveled in their newfound solidarity, an unsettling shadow peeked around the corner of the room, someone watching them closely, a hidden figure with their own agenda. What would happen next? Would fear seep back in to steal their moment? Or would their bravery spark an influential movement that could change everything? The room began to vibrate with the thunder of voices, a restless tide that surged toward unity and purpose. Mia scanned the crowd, taking in the exhilaration on their faces. There was strength in their numbers, a sense of shared resolve that made her heart swell with possibilities she'd never dared to imagine, yet behind the visible camaraderie, an unease curled within her. Who was the shadow lurking at the edge of their gathering? What were their intentions? As she pushed the anxiety aside, the crowd continued to cheer for change, each voice a brick in the wall they were building against the status quo. Ryan leaned in closer to her, his expression reflecting both pride and concern. We've harnessed something powerful here. But it won't be easy. Don't forget that, he said softly, as though he was trying to ground her soaring spirit. Easy or not, we have to try, she replied, determination infusing her words. Suddenly, the noise faltered. An unexpected silence swept through the room like a dropped curtain. At the far end, where the shadow lurked, a figure stepped forward. Mia's throat tightened as she squinted, her heart racing in her chest. It was a tall man dressed in crisp business attire, his jaw set tight, and his expression cold. Familiarity struck her. He was one of the influential backers who had propped up many decisions that led them to this very moment. What do you think you're doing? His voice rose above the stillness like black smoke filling a clear sky. You're throwing away everything you've built. These little rallies will do nothing. Do you think the higher-ups will just sit back and watch? Mia felt every pair of eyes in the room shift toward her. The crowd, once a roaring river, became a silently questioning ocean, waiting for her response. The confidence that had surged just moments ago began to flutter uneasily. But we're not asking for permission anymore. She shouted back, her voice stronger than she felt. We know what we deserve. And it's not just money or titles. We want dignity. We want respect. The man's brow furrowed. Have you lost your minds? This isn't how the world works. You think you can threaten the very foundation of what you have? Danger hummed in the air as jawlines tightened and fingers clasped into fists around her. There was a chilling reminder that they were playing a game with stakes much higher than just words. But what if it's the foundation that needs to crumble? A voice piped up from the crowd. Mia didn't know who had spoken, but it didn't matter. The embers of rebellion had been stoked, one voice ignited another. Yeah. Someone else shouted. Let it fall. We'll rebuild it brick by brick, but this time we'll build it together. Nervous murmurs rippled through the room, revealing flickers of hope that mixed with the tension. There was power in this risk, a thrill that came with daring to believe they could reshape everything. As if sensing their growing belief, the man stepped closer, his icy gaze challenging. You'll break yourselves trying to change a world that thrives on conformity. Just remember, the more ambitious your dreams, the harder you'll fall when they crash. The crowd held its breath, fear shimmering against hope. Mia's chest tightened as every fear they had faced clawed back to the surface. What if he was right? What did they really know about cultivating the change they longed for? But then she thought about Clara's face, shining with newfound faith, and Ryan's steady presence beside her. Change is scary, but we have each other, she called out, bolstered by the energy flowing around her. And that's stronger than any betrayal. Cheering erupted again, louder than before, drowning out the man's looming threat. Yet, even as victory surged through her, a lingering chill remained at the back of Mia's mind. How far would they really go? Would the price of their newfound unity be too high? As they celebrated, that shadow still loomed watchfully, signaling that this was far from over. Not only did they have to outshine the doubt within, but they also had to prepare for the unseen. Forces waiting in the wings, ready to strike. What were they really up against, and would their collective courage be enough to withstand the brewing storm? Darkness whispered around them, warning of the challenges yet to come, leaving Mia with only one certainty. A fight was brewing, and she could feel the storm gaining momentum. The energy in the room shifted, the cheers fraying into nervous whispers. Mia's heart raced with adrenaline, but her mind was racing even faster. What if the ambition she felt capable of was simply destined to crash into a wall marked by the man's chilling warnings? Ryan squeezed her hand, anchoring her just as she felt her resolve flickering. We can't back down now, can we? He asked. A flicker of doubt crossed his face, but Mia could see the fire in his eyes too. It burned bright with the hope of a future they could build together. No way, she replied, feeling that same spark ignite in her chest. That invincible sense of togetherness buzzed through her veins. We can't turn back. Not when we're so close. As the crowd began to settle down, Mia scanned the faces illuminated by the glow of cheap overhead lights. Some showed quiet determination, others cocked eyebrows of uncertainty. And some faces like Clara's radiated pure excitement. Listen. Mia shouted again, trying to recapture the pulse of the room. I know fear is creeping in. I can feel it too. But look around you. This isn't just a rally, it's a movement. Each of us is a part of something bigger, something that will change everything. Her words resonated, sparking nods that spread like wildfire across the crowd. Suddenly, a voice that sounded oddly brassy piped up from the back. But how do we even start? I'm just a janitor. It was Samuel, a guy from the maintenance crew, his family name burdened by generations of hard lives. Mia pounded her fist lightly against her chest. You might feel like a janitor, but what you do matters. Every job matters. Each of us has a role to play. Change comes from all of us standing up, the small and the mighty. The room filled with affirming murmurs, the first seeds of courage sprouting even among the most doubtful faces, but the disapproving man stood unfazed in the corner, arms crossed. "Words, nothing but words," he jeered. "What will you do when they come for you? When the foundation shakes? I suggest you reconsider this folly." Mia's heart sank but then soared again at the resilience around her. "No one has come for us yet. They won't know the strength we have until we show it." "Yeah!" Clara shouted, raising her arm triumphantly. "They underestimate us. Let us show them what we can do." Murmurs rose again, building, a swell of voices gaining momentum. Fear clashed with hope, but hope was winning. Mia could feel that gripping sense of unity in the air. Who would have thought that a group of unlikely rebels, so different yet so alike, could inspire such strength, but the man's presence lingered like a dark cloud above, creeping into their moment of triumph. Mia could see it on the faces of her friends, the realization slinking through that this was only the beginning of a far greater conflict. They were facing not just the man, but an entire system that thrived on their oppression. "Time to get organized," Ryan said, turning to Mia. "We need a plan. If we're hitting back, it's gotta be smart." Mia nodded, adrenaline flooding her system, thoughts racing as possibilities collided. "We can't let fear stop us anymore. Let us hold meetings, gather ideas. Get everyone involved." They began brainstorming collectively, and just as momentum surged across the group, the lights flickered overhead. Gasps echoed in the room, Mia froze, ice coursing through her veins. Were they without protection now? The tension in the air crackled violently as the shadow of their unknown enemy loomed larger, threatening to interrupt their fragile unity. Just then, the door swung open, and everyone turned on their heels toward the sound. A new figure stepped into the room, cloaked in mystery, and with every step, an unmistakable aura of authority surrounded them. The crowd fell silent as an unsettling chill gripped the atmosphere. Her heart raced as she caught a glimpse of what could be a friend or the fiercest foe yet. Hope and intrigue wove together in the silence. Who was this newcomer? As Mia watched the figure move forward, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the prelude to a storm even more chaotic than she had imagined. The newcomer took slow, deliberate steps, their face partially obscured by shadows, an air of confidence emanating from them like a beacon. Mia held her breath, captivated yet uneasy, the whole room on edge. The figure finally moved into the light, revealing sharp features and eyes that sparkled with an unsettling intelligence. "Hello, everyone," they said, voice smooth yet commanding. "I'm Alex, and I think you all might need a bit of guidance." Mia glanced at Ryan, and he met her gaze, perplexed but intrigued. Could this Alex be the ally they desperately needed? The energy in the room shifted once more, curiosity buzzing louder than the earlier fear. "What do you mean by guidance?" Mia asked, her voice stronger than she felt. She needed to understand if this was a chance or a trap. Alex took a moment, looking each person in the eye, a calm, unwavering presence. "You don't know the power you've got here. But you will need a plan. A strategy that doesn't just rise against the odds but dismantles them. If you're serious about making a change, then I can help you." Whispers erupted again, skepticism cloaked in fascination. How could they trust someone who just walked in? But Mia sensed a glimmer of hope, something potent in Alex's demeanor. "What do you know of our struggles? Are you here to help or to exploit?" "Both," Alex replied, their honesty striking. "I know the system you're up against. I've observed how it crushes you day by day, how it has built its empire on your backs. And I've got resources and connections that can turn the tables." Mia's heart raced again. "How can we be sure you're genuine? Why should we trust you?" "Because," Alex said, stepping closer and lowering their voice, "I've been in your shoes. I wasn't always a part of the system. I know what it feels like to lose everything and see no way out. I emerged from that darkness, and now I'm offering you a light." The tension in the room shifted, and Mia could see the spark of consideration flickering in Ryan's eyes. Could this be the turning point? But uncertainty still loomed like the reminder of the man in the corner who seemed unmoved by the new arrival's words. "And if we refuse your help?" Ryan spoke up, voice steady despite the trembling in his hands. "Then you'll likely keep fighting this battle alone, leaving the shrouded darkness to loom ever larger. Sometimes the hardest fights are best won with allies you least expect." Alex's gaze met Mia's once again, and for a moment, the room felt heavy with unspoken decisions. Some murmurs roared in agreement, but others stayed skeptical. Mia could see a division forming in the crowd, and her heart sank. "We need to focus," she said, her voice echoing through the uncertain atmosphere. "Let us consider this carefully. This is exactly the moment where we can either rise together or let fear drive a wedge between us." "I can tell you about the resources and potential allies," Alex interjected, cutting through the rising tension. "You have a chance to turn this movement into a force of real change." Mia felt an emotional weight settle on her shoulders. They had come so far, and now with this unexpected twist, everything hung in the balance. The choice before her wouldn't just define their fight but their beliefs, their integrity. The uneasy silence lingered, leaving everyone to look inwardly at their own fears and hopes. Mia's heart beat furiously as she realized she had to step up, to lead. It was both terrifying and exhilarating to think about the possibility ahead of them. "Let us take a vote," Mia suggested, raising her voice so they would hear her over the murmurs. "If you're in, then we'll pursue this. If not, we'll find our way on our own. But we can't ignore this chance." The room swelled with uncertainty. Would they stand as one, behind a stranger with a proposal? Or would fear carve them into individual pieces? Mia felt the intensity of the moment wrap around her. She understood that the fabric of their bond was about to be tested. As Ryan took her hand tighter, she could almost hear the ticking clock, a reminder that they needed a decisive move. Would they embrace this ally, or would they let the chance slip away? The answer hung palpably in the air, trapped between possibility and trepidation as they readied themselves to face the unknown ahead. The hum of anticipation washed over the room like waves crashing on a shore, filling the air with an electric charge. Mia could feel her heart thrumming in her chest, each beat echoing the need for unity. She scanned the faces around her, searching for signs of resolve, fear, or hope. "This is it," she thought, the weight of leadership settling heavily on her shoulders. "Let us start with a show of hands," she said, trying to sound more confident than she felt. Her stomach twisted, her voice quivering slightly as she made the plea. "If you believe we should accept Alex's help, raise your hand." A moment of stillness hung. The only sound was the flickering of fluorescent lights overhead. Then slowly, fingers began to rise. First one, then another. A wave of green against the backdrop of uncertainty. Each hand felt like a lifeline thrown into the churning sea of doubt, but just as Mia began to breathe a little easier, she noticed the man in the corner. He sat folded in darkness, leaning against the wall, arms crossed defiantly. He hadn't budged. Instead, his glare sharpened. "You're being naive," he called out, his voice cutting through the cool air. "What makes you think Alex won't turn on us? We've been betrayed before." Murmurs rippled through the crowd, some cautiously echoing his sentiments. There were always those who held on to fear like a shield, unwilling to let go. "Don't let doubts cloud your judgment," Mia urged, feeling her own resolve hardening. "We can't let past betrayals dictate our future. We have what it takes to harness this opportunity, but it starts with trust." Alex stepped forward, unwavering, captivating. "I get it," they said, voice smooth as silk, but with a punch of urgency. "Trust is a tricky thing. But remember, every great movement began with people standing together, united by hope. If you believe in one another, you can weather any storm. If you believe in yourself, then you gain the courage to transform." The room shifted again, some were nodding, encouragement lighting eyes that had once clouded by fear. A flicker of excitement began to bubble, jetting through the crowd. Look, Ryan said, lifting his own hand, his voice steadier. If we don't try now, the only thing we'll regret is what we could have done. His sincerity caught the attention of others, some whispers reignited as more hands shot up around Mia, hearts swelling in their chests. Count me in, someone shouted from the back. We need this. We need each other. A ripple of enthusiasm broke out as hands raised higher, filling Mia with an overwhelming sense of unity. Okay, let us go with it. She felt the weight lessening, a new hope igniting. But as quickly as the excitement blossomed, Mia turned back to the man in the corner. If you don't trust us or our decision, then so be it. But this is our fight, and we will not be doing it alone. The man held her gaze, a mixture of contempt and something softer, fear, perhaps, or regret. He remained silent, a storm brewing behind his eyes. In that moment, Mia realized that this wasn't just about choosing a path forward, it was about facing personal reckonings that had held them hostage. Could they brave the unknown if they chose to ally with someone like Alex? With renewed fire, she spoke again, looking into each face surrounding her. We'll meet here again tomorrow at the same time. Let us meet not just with thoughts of skepticism, but with plans. Together, we'll figure out how to take back what is ours. The crowd began to disperse, the passion still burning in the air around them. As Mia gathered her things, she heard Ryan whisper next to her, "You did good. They're with you." And while gratitude buoyed her spirits, the knot in her stomach tightened. Would their newfound ally truly steer them towards change? What shadows did Alex still harbor? These questions echoed in her mind as she glanced back at the corner, the man still watching, his expression inscrutable. They weren't just steps towards a meeting, they were teetering on the edge of a precipice. And tomorrow? Tomorrow could change everything. Mia and Ryan stood once again at the top of the grand staircase, but this time, the weight on their shoulders felt lighter. The chaos of the gala had transformed into a cauldron of hope and determination. Clara, standing resolutely among them, had sparked a fire that refused to be extinguished. The tension that once suffocated their spirits now crackled with a new electricity. Are you ready for this? Mia whispered to Ryan, recalling the uncertainty that had swallowed them just days before. Ready as I'll ever be, he replied, a confident grin breaking through his previous doubts. They stepped into the crowded room, now buzzing with energy as a diverse gathering of faces filled their mansion, those who had once lived in the shadows and those who had been scared into silence. United under an undeniable purpose, they were more than just the elite, they were voices demanding respect, dignity, and a true sense of community. Mia felt her heart swell. This isn't just about us anymore. It's about all of us, she said, her voice ringing clear as she surveyed the crowd. We're here for each other. Applause erupted, and the warmth in the room was palpable. Clara stood at the forefront, tears gleaming in her eyes as those she had once considered beneath her began to lift her up. Together, we are unstoppable, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Just then, Alex stepped forward, a comforting presence enveloping them all. Are you ready to make an impact? They asked, and an audible excitement swept through the crowd. Ryan clapped his hands together, his nerves transforming into eager energy. We have a plan, and it starts now. At that moment, the fear and negativity from the previous night felt like distant echoes. They were warriors, not just vulnerable millionaires anymore. They were everything together, a community with a shared desire for change. As the meeting unfolded, stories of struggle poured out, and laughter emerged, filling the air with a sense of connection. They dictated terms not just for tomorrow, but reshaping the narrative of who they were meant to be, collectively standing against the old guard that threatened to silence them. Mia glanced toward the window, the sun setting over Chicago, casting a golden hue that mirrored their hopes. It's our time to shine, she said, feeling a surge of courage. Together we can transform this place, our lives, and those who feel invisible. The crowd erupted into spontaneous cheers. There was laughter, determination, and the dawning of a new day. Mia and Ryan exchanged proud looks, realizing that stepping into the light meant standing next to Clara, Alex, and every voice around them. but beneath the excitement, uncertainty still lurked. They were still vulnerable to the old structures of disapproval. They could lose everything. The man from the gala, the one who had once cast a shadow over their gathering, was no longer distant. He was now a looming threat they all knew might strike, yet through the whispers of concern, Clara stepped up, her resolve unmistakable. "We may face opposition, but we will not retreat. We know what we want now: respect, community, and to stand for those who are ignored." As she spoke, something shifted inside Mia. What had begun as a simple act of rebellion had transformed into a movement. They were creating something bigger than themselves, a system where every voice held weight. In the days that followed, connections were established, strategies were crafted, and rallies were planned. With Alex's guidance, they reached out to others in their community. It was about much more than just the gala. It became about building bridges, understanding the nuances in struggle, expanding their perspectives, and redefining success. As momentum built, they capitalized on social media, sparking a movement that spread wider than they had ever anticipated. Mia and Ryan stood on stages, sharing their story. Their parents, provocative as they were, found themselves watching as their children took bold steps toward a future that demanded inclusivity. Then one day, just as the excitement reached an all-time high, the man in the corner, the one who had previously mocked their efforts, stood up to address the crowd. "Maybe I underestimated you," he began, his tone surprisingly humble. "Anyone with the audacity to challenge the status quo is worth hearing out." The crowd fell silent, surprised by this unexpected turn. "And I can see now that change is inevitable. Join us instead, make your mark while collaborating, and we can reshape this together." Mia's heart soared. Change had infiltrated the old guard, and rather than fear driving them apart, compassion had forged unexpected alliances. As their efforts continued to flourish, Mia looked over at Ryan and Clara. Their smiles lit up the room, a testament to their unwavering support. They had done it. They had transformed their world not by wealth or privilege, but from the connections fueled by kindness and courage. In that moment, with the fire of determination igniting within them, they knew this was just the beginning. Together, they had embraced the courage to change not just their lives, but the lives of many others. And while challenges would still come like waves crashing in, they were ready to face it all together. This was their time. They had found their voices, their families, and their home. And you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. I want to hear your feelings about this transformation. Comment below. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Support only the true fans.